Just a quick video here on Tesla. I'm looking at the 0.2 deltas and higher open interest, and we can see that it's a quite steady gradient of, we sort of topped somewhere around here on the 16th. It's that here, and yeah, that's about right. It's got a little bit heavier as we've had more puts opened. I think some of it's hedging, some of it's probably put selling. If we have a look at it in the eyes of liquidity, we can see it's increasing from about the 16th to the 17th. So that's coming out from quite a good burst. One of the things to notice is that the tops, which are these flat areas above the gone line, have got some flat sections, but in most of them, they're quite little reactionary juts. They're nothing like the sort of filling that we have seen, the back filling, but we have seen it going sideways for a little while. If we looked on the closer scale, we can see that they're even sharper. There's very few periods of time that we get some flats. Here's a couple of flats, here's a couple of flats. We're right back down into some buying in the 5 minutes. And we can see a couple of flat periods once we hit the 420 mark. We saw some flat periods and we did see some sideways action. But before that, it was pretty much deep in green or very sharp. These reactionary. So we get buying and then we have a relief, buying and then we have a relief. It's just taking the pressure off. Yes, it's not buying, so it turns up as selling. You don't need a lot of not buying to have selling, but the pressure is too hard to keep on for extended periods of time. And then we have these flat tops, which are much more sideways action in the 5 minutes. Bitcoin has been, here you go, here's in the 15 minutes, you can see the flat sections. You can see when we get flat sections that we do get price declines, or steady at best, where the bid is always increased as a natural bid in the market from reinvestment. If we have a look over a longer period of time, we can see that there was this great fill back in October 24, which has really kept us going for a long period of time. Yes, we did see some selling, but nowhere near as much selling as we saw buying. And then we saw, as it got down into this same zone, we saw that it's very well held between 200 and 250. And since then, it's slowly been climbing. We're back up to 425, which is a substantial build. If we look at the out of the money, less than 0.5 of a delta, what am I looking at here? I'm looking at just about 0.3 delta. We can see that it has been strengthening. Comparatively, we have had quite a lot of strength in the money puts, but we've gone from 450 to 550, and we've gone from 60 to 164. So we've had slightly more puts opened. Wouldn't be surprised if some of those are selling, but definitely not all of them. We can see quite steady above 45 DPI, which means that there are enough long positions having to be hedged that buying is quite substantial. We're not seeing just selling activity. We saw a selling activity here. We saw some selling activity going down. We've seen selling into a squeeze here. We're not very squeezy. It was a little bit harder on the bid and the ask, but it was nothing as squeezy as we've seen some of these occasions in the past where we've had big pressure put on, and it's really increased the price and increased the IV during that period. We can see that it's fairly steady. We can see that there's a lot more. This is again about 0.2 delta and higher. We can see there is quite a heavy growth as opposed in puts as there is in calls. It's gone from about 0.05 to 0.13, so it's increased. The ratio has increased substantially. I would say, having a quick look, that we're really moving into a tighter territory again. We've seen mainly below the line. We do see some periods that have to do with the market of sideways. And then today we did see this big drop that came from quite a lot of buying, and you have to really get in very close to actually see where that was. It was very difficult to pick. You can just see that we're above the line. There's quite a lot of selling all the way into the close. We saw some selling tiny, maybe a minute or two of buying at the end, but really at 4:40, 20 minutes before the close, the the buyers pulled out, and they had a couple of occasions, and they let the market fall back. That has a lot to do with what we can see in hedging. There was a lot of hedging that day. There was as much buying, but there was a lot of hedging, and that pulled the market back. I don't know if there's any concerns in the press that might have changed people's point of view. Anyway, we had good DPI, stronger DPI than we needed hedging, but similar. We did have a bit of an accumulation in this little blip here, but really it's just been hedging DPI. Our gamma is quite high for the price, but not terribly high for the price. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that little video about where Tesla is. I think Tesla's coming back into a greener market and ready to get going again. Have a good week's trading into the last day of the week, Friday the 26th of September.